was black and white TV was produced first of all in Yoruba land, just as Cocoa House was before South Korea. And imagine that time as far back as then and now. So if Yoruba nation was left on its own on the trajectory which they were going, of course they were competing with Europe now. Well, of course to be major competitors with Japan and so on and so forth. So the starting of our growth and development was by design. This is what all of us need to understand. Nigeria means nigger area. Nigger area. Now you go figure that out. For all of us listening, it's like a man and a woman get married and they have a baby, and then a foreigner comes to name your child. Nigeria means nigger area, slave area. So whether you're Igbo or Yoruba or Tiv or Hausa, Nigeria was designed to be a slave plantation, to keep all of us down so that we'll never get to good progress. So in direct response to your question, what can we do to correct the errors of the past? This program is part of that. This program that Yoruba Nation has put together is part of what we need to be doing to fix the problems. And so I celebrate our host and his team for putting the program together. And I think that as we continue to work together and dialogue, we will come up with other programs where we'll continue to have this dialogue and share the information and our people to become aware. And finally, I will say that we must tell our people to keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eye on the ball. Anybody dividing Igbo and Yoruba nations, anybody, politician, foreigner, white supremacist, whatever, anybody sowing discord, talking about division between the Igbo and Yoruba nation is your enemy. That person does not want our progress. We are individual nations. We should be growing at our own pace as individual nations. And if we do that, we will prosper and we will do business. Even the people who are talking about Igbo in Lagos, Igbo don't want to be in Lagos. They don't want to be in Lagos. They want to be in their own nation, their own country. The Yoruba nation can impose visas, and Igbo would gladly pay, and they'll come do business, and they'll go back home. So our people need to understand that we must keep our eyes on the ball. We have an enemy that is trying to sow discord, and with this information that coming from this broadcast today from Baba Kintoye, passed down to us is indeed instruction, not just information, instruction from the late sage, passed down to us from Kintoye, that the Igbo and Yoruba nation must figure out a way to work together and not allow any division amongst them. If we do that, we're going to be successful, and we'll be glad we did. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. At least, Baba, any addition to this, sir? Daddy?
Yes, the path to our achieving everything that my brother just said is we must have our two different countries quickly. And then let the spirit of African unity operate among us, in our schools, among our youth, in our places of work, everywhere, even on the farms, in our radio station, in our television station, everywhere, so that everybody knows that there is a duty that the Yoruba nation owes to the black race. And everybody knows, every person knows that there is a duty that the Igbo people owe to the Yoruba and to the black race.
Okay. Beautiful.
And that the only way we can get it done is to collaborate, to cooperate, to join hands together. That is it. A program like that should be very easy to do once we have our separate countries. I sometimes sit around and think about such programs. I was invited to give a lecture in Enugu in 2017, and I on Igbo and Yoruba.
You put that back in the put it back.
Your duties and responsibilities.
Mm.
That made me a lot of friends among Igbo youths.
Mm.
Yes, we have a lot to do. Listen, the Yoruba are the largest single ethnic group in Black Africa.
Mm.
The Hausa are the second largest and the Igbo are the third largest.
Mm.
The three largest Black nations are in Nigeria. Tafawa Balewa said during a visit to the University College in Ibadan in 1964 that one of the greatest problems of Nigeria is that the three largest Black nations are in this one country. So we are large. We are a large nation. We are a strong nation. And not only are the Yoruba and the Igbo large nations, they are also very dynamic nations. They have invested more in education than any other comparable people in Africa. So we are strong. All we need to do is to exploit the strength
and push them and get the hell out of that shit old country. Don't put Nigeria.
And there is no way that the Yoruba can do it by themselves. There is no way the people can do it by themselves.
Oh, Shango, Baba don't sorrow you. Èyí tẹ́ ń bá Igbo jà, tá ń bá Igbo jà. Bàbá ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn o. Tó bá ti gbà fún bàbá, ò lè gbà fẹ́ni kankan mọ́ láyé ẹ̀.
Yes.
Ọ̀dà.
It will come.
Okay.
But as
Tẹ̀dúpẹ́ tí bàbá ń bá mi sọ ní.
OLAYOMI KOIKI says, nothing can stop the two nations from coming to exist. Nothing.
Okay.
That's the truth of the matter.
Àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́
That's
yín bàbá.
something that some people will not like to hear, but that's the truth.
Ṣé ti gbọ́?
Nothing can stop
Ẹ̀gbọ́n tí bàbá wa
an
sọ.
Igbo nation from coming into existence
Okay.
in this world.
Bàbá ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ live lélẹ́yìí o. Àwa ní Zoom.
Coming into existence in this world.
Okay.
Nothing can stop the two nations working together.
That's
And
it.
with the Hausa, because the Hausa are now liberating themselves from the Fulani.
That's it.
And they are saying that we are indigenous like the Yoruba and the Igbo, and that we are going to work together. So we have a powerful combination. Three different countries, a Hausa country, a Yoruba country, an Igbo country. All of us pushing in the direction of the liberation and dignity of the Black man's world. We cannot lose. There's no way we can lose.
What a defeat will go possible.
The way to start is what we are doing tonight.
That's it. Peaceful.
We have started tonight.
Peaceful dialogue.
Tonight. And we will go on.
That's it. Àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bàbá.
We will go on. When we reach a point at which we invite Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo to come and take part in a similar program like this, to let the world know that we know who we are.
That's
We
it.
are indigenous of the land. God made us and made us a large and powerful nation. And we are going to show that to the world.
That's
Cannot
bad.
continue. A powerful nation like the Yoruba and Igbo cannot continue forever to be slaves to anybody.
Possible.
The end is there.
Possible.
Slavery.
The end is there. Wow, thank you so much, Prof. Ashegoni, thank you.
Professor for your knowledge that you have shared on this program. Also, my greatest thank you goes to Honorable Tony Nweze, that's the leader of the Igbo Network. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your presence on this program. This is where we'll draw the curtain of today's program. We are still having a part of this program. Thank God that now we are out of the service again, but at least the program is about to end. Take us from this place again. Let's see if we can come back and say goodbye to our fans who have been watching or who have been sharing our program. And also kudos to my brother, OLAYOMI KOIKI. I've done a great job concerning the assignment that Baba Kintoye giving us. I have not even started my own, but by the grace of God, he has pushed me to challenge because I sent it. So to start my own in this week, at least we take it from the left and the right. And there are people who believe that no, we are working from the same direction. Then what we need is to unite.
Can somebody go and bring my
And
laptop
then
upstairs, please?
question like
The black one.
I don't think
Thank you.
Mr. Tony really get the question right, but I think maybe the question will be asked on our next program. He said, how is the program that we can embark on that will unite the youth in both nations, that will have because we can see very well those politicians and what they are normally used.
I love you.
How you guys are hearing me? Because I can see everything.
Loud and clear, we can hear you.
Yes.
Loud and clear, we can hear you.
Mr. Tony, are you hearing me, please?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank you. So, thank you. Like said, what a program can we put together that will unite the youth in a both nation? Because if we don't unite now as a youth, definitely we'll have, maybe, thank God we may not have a warlord, but at least if you
El-Rufai attend Ojúde Ọba lórí burúkú. Olórí burúkú Fúlàní, terrorist. Kí ló ń wá lójúde Ọba?
Education program can we put in place that will unite the youth from the whole nation? That is the question we can ask as a third question. But I don't think if you really remember this question. But
I did. I said we have begun.
Okay.
We have begun already.
Okay.
Your program
All right.
today is the beginning of it. And so as we continue and have a follow-up program and also with the leadership of OLAYOMI KOIKI, the dialogue will continue, and then we'll bring other delegates to the conversation. So the hatred is because of ignorance, and ignorance is dealt with by
ignorance is a disease.
So we have begun and we'll continue just like
All right, thank you so much. This is where we've got the content of today. My name is Soma Bodewo, and let me say thank you to Baba, Professor Baiki, and to the leader of Yoruba Nation Strong. Thank you so much, sir. May God bless you. May God be with you. May God give you the good extra. Also to Mr. Honorable Tony, thank you so much for calling for participating on this program. Mr. Tony is the leader of Igbo Global.
Àwa la máa borí àwọn olóṣèlú ò ní borí wa. Àwa la máa borí wọn.
Those audience who are on this platform, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you will be waiting for another episode on historical dialogue between the Yoruba nation
and the Igbos
the Biafra nation. We call
and the Biafra.
So I think this is a very fantastic.
We're going on. Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ pín ní kò sí bàbá ńlá ẹni tó lè dá dúró, ó gbọ́dọ̀ pín ní, tó bá pín a máa pín fúnra wa. A máa pín fúnra wa, tó bá ti pín, no retreat, no surrender ni. We fight to the last man standing. Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ lọ ní, lílọ ní boy, ó gbọ́dọ̀ lọ. Animals, àwọn animals, Ajijangbara media, mo rí ẹwọ́ ẹ kú iṣẹ́ takuntakun. Àní àṣemọ́, olúkálùkù máa lọ́nù ẹ̀, àṣemọ́ ń jẹ́ àṣemọ́, ṣé dandan ni? Ó ń ṣe dandan náà. Bí gbogbo àpapọ̀ náà, olúkálùkù máa lọ́nù ẹ̀. Ìlú òfò ní Nàìjíríà, ó ti bà ayé jẹ́. Olúkálùkù máa lọ́nù ẹ̀. Go your own way, you no do again. Àṣemọ́, Nigeria no work. Àṣemọ́, Nigeria is not working. Àṣemọ́, bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Mr. Shamsuddin Mokinjare, ìbùkún ni fún orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá.
Keep watching Yoruba World Media. Thank you so much. Goodbye and God bless you. Bye for now.
Òun lẹ ti gbọ́ yẹn lẹ́nu Professor wa Adébánjí Akíntóyè. I can't wait for the day it will be officially. Tọ́mọ ní Yoruba is now an independent country away from Nigeria. I just can't wait for such a magnificent day. A day that it would happen. A day that we will be proud of who we are. Moki Olori Stella. When we can develop at a very fast pace, be Singapore. Singapore. Many of you need to understand that we have just one common enemy, and that is the terrorist state. I hope that Nnamdi Kanu will be released very soon. Mr. Sikiru Adewale, thank you so much. We are all in the same bracket. Forget about Memo in the UK. If I was in Nigeria, I would be in your same shoe, even if I am out of a rich house. I will still probably be in your same shoe, struggling, begging for food, asking the diaspora to support us. Oh, okay. So the fact remains that the country has held us back. Yemi Fatoki, Egbomi. Nigeria has held us backwards for too long, and it is time we put a full stop to the mess created by those that doesn't want us to prosper as people, indigenous people. We have what it takes. We are very, very important people that can walk towards the global community with my beautiful map, where we can do things that will work for us, not the one that is not working for me and you today. The world is a beautiful place. Anybody from that region, from that location, from that beautiful territory. When we are saying Nigeria is a zoo, we are not saying Yoruba land is a zoo. We are not saying Biafra land is a zoo, or the Arewa, or the Middle Belt. We are saying that the name Nigeria is a zoo, and you will not be respected regardless of wherever you go around the world. You will not be respected. It does not matter, even if you still have other nationality. Nigeria has come to its end. There's nothing you can do about it. We are not respected. So when you are looking at the name is no longer respected along the global world today. That name that is called Nigeria is no longer respected. So that means screw meji lo ma connect abi. Okay. Forget about whatever, international community, whether it's America, whether it's Britain, Canada, France, they are lying. Òpùrọ́ ni wọ́n, ẹnu òpùrọ́ dẹ̀ máa ń ṣẹ̀jẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, àbí báwo ló ṣe máa ń sọ Yorùbá yẹn? Ẹnu òpùrọ́ kì í ṣẹ̀jẹ̀, ìrọ̀ tí wọ́n ń ṣẹ̀jẹ̀, àwọn tí wọ́n ń ṣẹ̀jẹ̀. So if you are one of those expecting the World Bank to tell you that we should remain in Nigeria, you will not understand what we are talking about. If you are one of those expecting international community to deceive you, that Nigeria is going to be a great country, Moke triple DRS, Nubugbo Woolish, you would not understand what I'm talking about. The world is big enough for countries to come out of Nigeria. The world is big. Don't be deceived. We are living inside the water. So don't let anybody tell you that Yoruba cannot stand on its own. Why can we not stand on our own? The Yoruba newspaper, Iwe Iroyin, as I told you, was established in Abeokuta in 1850, just before the zoo country called Nigeria was formed on a trade. Moki brother mi Ayuba Adebi, Baba mi Bolaji Kayode Olawi. Share the program. Don't let anyone fool you, especially anyone in the current Nigeria, that Nigeria should that Nigeria should not break up. The world has 195 countries. There are many countries that can still pop up. But the problem is, those countries that want to pull out, they are being suppressed and marginalized. So they don't want them to flourish. They want us to be running to America and Canada and UK for our studies, when we can have the same standard at University of Ile-Ife, University of Ilorin, University of Lagos. We can even have up to our PhD. Then we can have what we call exchange program, where you would just come and do 6 months and then you return back home and serve your people as it is done by the Singaporean. Let's look at Singapore. Let us educate ourselves again this evening. I have the strength. I have the energy. But it is up to you to accept the truth, because the truth is bitter. Nobody can fix Nigeria, not any of your corrupt politicians, as the system is set up today under the fraudulent constitution. So if you're one of those expecting the best out of Nigeria, oh, you read the best out of it. It does not affect your religion. Your religion is not what we are talking about. I don't care whether you're a religious person or a spiritualist person. That is not what I'm talking about. I am not fighting you for your religion. I am not coming here to attack you because of your religion. I am here to talk to you about reason why Yoruba people should be an independent country and compete with the United Kingdom with our passport and with our Yoruba economy. So that you don't have to be running down here and then say that, to buy the UK, you cannot survive. What are you looking for? Many people think that until you arrive abroad, that is when you will survive. No, we have what it takes on our territory, in the Biafra land, in the Arewa. The Arewa has the weather. The weather down there is about almost 40 degrees. That can be converted into solar. Most electric vehicles today, they need a lot of what we have inside the north that can be used for the battery. So don't let anybody tell you that we need to be in Nigeria. Mokiyami Olajire Koka. We don't need Nigeria. Nigeria needs us. Awa gongon won't be in Nigeria, the indigenous people. But what they've done is they've taken away the true picture of what we have, and they've given us a fake identity. Work with that, and that means, we are saving something that that should even make you upset that the British created this mess. But they are running helter and skelter, trying to save their last empire. The British last empire would dissolve. And there's no way anybody can say anything about that. The British last empire would dissolve. The British last empire would dissolve, whether you like it or not. Whether it is your will to keep Nigeria, it is going to fall apart. It is coming, but it is coming gradually. By the time it gets down to each one of you, right, you would understand the truth, because the truth is bitter. That is why you cannot have 24 hours system that is working. If you're expecting anything to come out of Nigeria, you will die along the line, because that is what we were told by our parents. We're going to talk about Singapore. And why is Singapore the talk of the conversation? Gunmen, there's nothing called gunmen. They are terrorists. Continue to say, I talk too much. Continue to say, I am wasting my time. Gunmen conveil with motorcycles and storm village, kill at least 6 people in Benue State. It's no longer in news because we are many of us. So if they kill 6 people out of 200 million, that means there's still more people in Benue. That is why it does, human being is nothing to you, because you cannot feel the life inside the person. 6 people in Benue State. This was on Tuesday. Gunmen on Tuesday reportedly killed at least 6 persons in an attack on the Gugur, not Google, G-U-G-U-R, community in Castina, Ala local government area of Benue State, north central Nigeria. They rode with motorcycle and attack between 9 to 10 p.m. It would take a police officer and a policeman that carries gun nothing less than 15 minutes to get to a location where they can be told that there's a gunshot happening in my area. Is that the same thing in your community? Or you are one of those buffoons that come here and say we should shut up? 15 minutes maximum. A police with a gun must arrive here if we are told or they are being told that there's a gunshot. See, even if it's a balloon, they must arrive here and neutralize whoever has that gun. But in Nigeria, it is nothing. 1 hour, there is no security operative to save life because life does not mean anything to you. That is why even until we understand that this life means a lot to every one of us, we are all here on a mission. Those that are telling you that we cannot have our own mission, which is a Yoruba country, Biafra country, Arewa nation, Edo nation, it doesn't matter how many nations comes out of Nigeria. Oh, we need to have the numbers. We don't need the numbers. Iceland is less than 500,000 people. They are doing better. They are better off in terms of their strength as it is. Iceland. The local government chairman, Shaku Justin, also confirmed that the assailant attacked the community for 1 good hour. No security operatives. And you call that a country. Where is all the budget that is meant for the security by the governors? And likewise, the federal, because life means nothing in that zoo country called Nigeria. Let's talk about Singapore. Let's talk about Singapore. Singapore, officially the Republic of Singapore, is an island country, a city, state in the maritime Southeast Asia. Shout out to you, my brother Femi. I hope you're doing very well. Makiawa Remy. Singapore, the total population is just under 6 million, 5.6 million, according to the World Bank in 2022. If I tell you now that there is a visa available for me to give out to 300 people to Singapore, my DM will be completely blocked by people that wants to go to Singapore. But do you know the meaning that Singapore was one time inside Malaysia? Do you know that? Singapore was part of Malaysia. Then what happened to Singapore? How did Singapore become an independent country? Became a country of its own. It all started because Singapore was not speaking the same language. They didn't understand the same identity in the contraction country that they were kept in, known as Malaysia. Many Nigerians are in Malaysia today. They are all doing drugs. Most of them, I can tell you. Makiami, First Bank, Grandma Woni. On the 9th of August, 1965, there will be a day that will become officially known as Yoruba independence. It is not yet there, but we are getting closer day by day. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take, that country is going down. But we must first educate many Nigerians on the reason why, if you like, allow British High Commissioner Dr. Richard Montegori, that refused to talk about Nnamdi Kanu case, a British passport holder, to deceive you, just like Katrina Lang, the former British High Commissioner, told you to get your PVC and vote. Your vote will never count because British rigged the first ever election in Nigeria in 1959. So what is new about the rigging that you're all complaining about? Can I complain for? Oh, INEC is rigging election. Ask British why they rigged the first election to favor the North. Even the censor was rigged. The numbers of people in the North was rigged so that they can have much advantage against Awolowo and the rest of those known as Nigeria. That is the crime. that British created, that you are trying to protect, and you think that you are Yoruba man, you will come and attack us because we are speaking the truth that it's not being spoken in your church and in your mosque, because your church and your mosque does not have the balls to speak truth to you. So they put everything on spiritualism. And like I said, we are not attacking your churches, neither do I attack your mosque, but they will not speak the way I am speaking, because that is Elogbon Conti Prophet Tibetan song. He spoke this morning, whether you believe him or not. Give them something that they will work with, and they will not look for their history anymore. That is what is happening. Good evening, Mr. Femi Moshood. They've given you something to play with, which is very good. But the real problem, that is our history, has been forgotten. We were told that Mungo Park founded a river Niger that has been there, that our forefathers have been working on. Mukia Peter Pan. Waris Jinadu location 9, value cow citizenship. A very useless country, like Mr. Olakayode says. The reason why we are suffering is because the West wants to keep us below so that we can continue to suffer and suffer, and then everybody will japa. Something happened in 1965, which was just 5 years or Dumanu after the fraudulent independence you got from Nigeria. Nigeria got independent in 1960, right? 61, 62, 63, 64. In 1965, something started brewing somewhere in the Asia Far East down there. What was it? A country was about to be born. Just like one day the Biafra will be born, Arewa will be born, and Yoruba nation or Oduduwa nation, whatever we decide to call it, would also be born. It is just about when and how soon. The country is going down. Nobody can save Nigeria. You will not be able to save Nigeria. It doesn't matter your hatred or your attack on many of us. It's just the truth. It's very bitter. Good evening to you, Babami Mutiu Ahmed. Shout out to those of you in the southeast, and shout out to those of you in the northern part of Nigeria. The Hausas will come back up, just as the Igbos, the Yorubas, and all other indigenous people. And don't tell me that, what about the smaller ones? British territory, known as Gilberta, is 42,000. They have their own passport, they have their own government. 42,000 population. But we are dealing with Singapore to start with. Mr. Patrick Ifeanyi Ede, good evening. Share the program and invite somebody. Truth is bitter. Peter Channel, thank you so much. Many people doesn't like the truth, but you're expecting the truth to be spoken only at the podium of the church. No, it is spoken right here from my house with a lot of background noise of the family. Truth is bitter. We will be free. We are all going home. The real home that belongs to us. The criminal politicians doesn't like that. They want to hold your balls so that you keep working for them and save a contraction that British knows is going down. A British citizen order. Do you understand that? A British citizen order kept in the DSS custody, kidnapped, rendition back to Nigeria by the dead or alive Buhari, a Fulani bastard, a criminal that should be hanged. But yet, nobody is talking about him. The British High Commissioner in Nigeria is looking away. There is trouble coming if we do not sit on the round table. Biafra will go home, Yoruba will go home. Hausa people will rise up against the Fulanis, and we will chase them back away to the Sahel where they've come from. We will push them back. All the agenda, especially with the Bill Gates agenda of a GMO. Some of you need to start waking your minds up, because they are destroying our farms so that they can bring in a GMO food and feed you, and probably you will not survive for a very long time. That is what they're doing. Flooding Nigeria with so much terrorism that is now becoming unbearable to everybody, regardless of wherever you are. If you're not kidnapped, you are still lucky. It's just a matter of when. But let's talk about Singapore. Why is Singapore very, very important? On the 9th of August, 1965, Kennedy says Nigeria must go down. It is already going down. Once again, it is just a matter of how soon Nigeria is going down. I know some of you are bitter. What do these people mean that Nigeria is going to break? Well, Nigeria is not going to be the first country to break. It's just that how soon it breaks will save your life. Because we value your life than any of your corrupt politicians value that life. None of your politicians value your life. That is why they cannot give you a proper hospital to look after yourself. And you have to depend on your religious center to scan your body for MRI. On the 9th of August 1965, the Parliament of Malaysia voted 126-0 in favor of a constitutional amendment expelling Singapore from the Federation. We are not going to be expelled. We own the territory. We will expel those that do not want Yoruba people, Biafra, Arewa, Edo, whatever, Ijo to go. We will expel them. And I'm talking about the foreigners, the invaders, the criminals that are taking your resources and making your life unbearable, that have taught you to be criminals yourself. The world is a beautiful place. Our territory is a lovely place. But unfortunately, they've taken everything that belongs to us to survive in their own countries. That is why they don't want Nigeria to break. So when they come out with all these their stupid policies, it's just to trap you in Nigeria using all your corrupt politicians. So Malaysia thought they were doing Singapore something bad by expelling them in 1965. But today, I'm sure Malaysia will be regretting why they allowed Singapore to go. Do you know what happened? Singapore developed very fast with so many programs. If you are a foreigner and you are still thinking that you will save Nigeria in our territory, you better start thinking otherwise. Because when the right time comes, the real owner of the land will decide what we want to do. Is either you accept to be part of that new nation called Yoruba Nation, Biafra Nation, Hausa Nation, Ijo Nation, whatever nation, or you will be expelled out of that territory because it doesn't belong to you. Lebanese doesn't own that. America doesn't own it. I cannot go and claim America. Can I go there and say, I want to claim America, or can I claim this country? No. So, but for now, it is all about the discussion and making the awareness known to many of you. 1965, Singapore was expelled from the federation known as Malaysia. They were one body. They were all under one country, but they were expelled. There was a tears coming from Lee Kuan Yew as he was announcing a televised press conference that Singapore had become a sovereign independent nation. He was crying, a cry of joy. That day is getting closer. The cry of joy should be you coming out of Nigeria, not crying to save Nigeria. Mumu, why are you trying to save Nigeria? Who the hell are you to save Nigeria? I'm about Banla or save Nigeria. So how old are you? No. Is anybody 89 years old here? So you know more than Professor Banji Akintoye. Oh, so you know more than Professor Adebanji Akintoye. 89 years old. He has spent almost 9 decades on this earth. May God continue to give him a very strong strength, energy. How old are you? So you want to defend Nigeria against Baba Akintoye, 89 years old. So you think it's dementia? So you think Baba Akintoye is dementia, that he doesn't know what he's talking about, that Nigeria is not meant for us? Oh, so that is what you think. You better think otherwise. You better think otherwise. Let's watch a couple of videos. You will not be able to see it, but you can listen to it. Singapore rise to the top, how it became Asia #1 country. A country that was expelled from a federation just 1965. 1965, ni wọ́n expelled Singapore out of Malaysia. And today, the Singaporeans have done best for themselves and their citizens, while we are still rakoro, like a newborn baby. Let's listen to this. You will not be able to say it, but you can listen.
How did a country that was on the verge of collapsing become Asia's #1 country?
How did the country that was at the verge of collapse become #1 Asia, becomes Asia #1 country? Oh, Koiki, who is going to be our leader? You can be the leader when we have Yoruba nation. Everybody can be the leader. Oh, you want to go and dobale for the APC and the PDP so that you can get a slot and become the local government chairman. Listen to how Singapore, as at 1964, Singapore was still part of Malaysia. As at 1960, Singapore was still part of Malaysia. But in 1965, something changed in August. They were expelled. Do you know the meaning of expel? What lé wọn kúrò? We call law, come and law, àfẹ̀yìnmọ́, ẹ̀rùn. Go. Koiki, if we daduro, if we become independent, how do we buy tomato? Can you imagine? The basic things that you should be thinking of. How do we buy pepper? Hey, beans. Hey, these people, you are trying to bring trouble. Oh, how do I buy yam? Look at how Yoruba people are thinking. They are thinking the most basic things. When you should be telling me that, how do we go to space? How do we compete with Elon Musk? How do we make sure that every Yoruba, in every 1 year, we have 1 million Yoruba people that we've turned to millionaires? They are not thinking about that. They are still worried about how do we buy tomato that is coming from the north, as if that tomato is the most important thing. That is what they've done to your psyche. We cannot think about how do we start a new foundation of a modernized farming without the disturb of a Fulani terrorist. Nobody's talking about that. They are more concerned about the My 12 market that is smelly. They are more concerned about the cow that they are sleeping with. Have you not seen the video? Very disgusting. The same cow that you will eat, somebody is already having sex with it. Somebody thinks she jiggy pẹ̀lú. And you think that you will not have all kind of illness, and you will then go to your religious center to take that off your body, when we should first stop the craziness of how somebody can sleep with a cow in the first place. We stop that, but you can't stop it when you are in Nigeria, even under your restructured Nigeria, because they will still have access. Why do you think UK is not allowing everybody to come to this country? Why do you think that America has to give you an appointment to check why you need to go to America? Why can't you just go to America without a visa? But do you know, before we go further, that the Singapore, again, we are discussing about Singapore this evening on the Koikimedia. Let's look at their passports and see whether their passport is important or not, and how many countries in the world that passport can go to. According to the information that I have here, the most 10 powerful passport in the world as of 2024, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Singapore, a country that was expelled just in 1965. How did they make it? Oh, you might start telling me about leadership problem in Nigeria. No, it's not leadership. We are not speaking the same language. Some wants to go like this. We want to have 10 lanes with a train track at the middle. And some will say, no, that is not the priority. Let's start doing Kilichi. Because Kilichi is our problem. Do you understand what that means? We are talking about Singapore. It can be done. It has been done before. It can still be done again. It has been done before in 1965. It can still be done again. 1965 to now is less than how many years? 1965 till now. Tell me the answer. Our father maths and mathematician. So why do you think that it cannot be done with the Biafra nation, Yoruba nation, Arewa nation, Ijo nation, and many other nations that wants to come and have their own independent sovereign nation? Do you know that when we have our own country, it is going to be a brand new Yoruba Navy Force, Yoruba DSS? 59 years ago, it looks like only Princess Eyigbi. I hope we pronounce it. She's the only one watching the program. Oh, Peter Pan says 60 years, almost same. Comment section. You know, when you write, it gives us joy that we are not talking to ghosts. 59 years ago, Peter Pan has corrected himself. Do I hate anybody in Nigeria? No. Do I hate the politicians? Yes. Because they are criminals that doesn't want the truth to be told to many of you. That is why they continue to block and use all means so that you will not be well enough educated to get the grasp of what we are talking about. And sort of independent of Yoruba nation. Somebody telling me about pepper and tomato. Eh? Do you understand what you're saying? We are talking about the future of the Yoruba people. You are telling me about the pepper coming from the north. What about the land in Yoruba land? What about all the land that we have? We can just we can use the whole state to go and start growing tomato. If that is what you prefer to eat. Oh, you love tomato from the north. They are very ripe. You probably start eating GMO food if you're not careful. A country that was expelled in 1965, it is now part of the top 4 passports in the world that you will not need a visa. You just buy your your ticket. Do you know that you can get to the airport and look at the flight and say that flight is going, and they will tell you that there's. Do you know that some people do that? You can just go. It's only people like us that have to buy ticket in advance. Some people just walk to the airport and they will ask, when is the next flight to Canada? And say, oh, okay. The next flight leaves in the next 12 hours. Can you book me for that? Can I see your passport? What passport is this? It's a Nigerian passport. You need a visa compared to a Singaporean. It goes there, give them the passport, they put it in the system. The system says, thank you so much. Do you know the feelings of that? Early morning, you cannot understand because you have not even traveling from, how are you doing? How was it today? Traveling from Benin to Nigeria is a hassle. But the people that knows what I'm talking about, a businesswoman, a Yoruba businesswoman, a Igbo businesswoman, an Hausa businesswoman that has another international passport, they get there. Where are you traveling to? I'm going to America. When is the next flight? In the next 3 hours. Can you book me on that? Give them the passport. They look at it. There's no negotiation on that. This was a country that was expelled just in 1965. They have now been able to build an economy. They've now been able to work hard together. It's a hard work. They have to do a lot of programs, a lot of orientation, so that when you go and work for somebody, you don't have to steal. You don't have to dip your hand into the government coffer. You do that, we send you to the prison. And then after a few years, we bring you back. Maybe you will have changed. That is how the Singaporeans were able to work hard. So let's listen to that video. How did a country that as at 59 years ago, was still part of another country called Malaysia. You've never heard about it before. You're hearing it for the first time. Singapore was part of Malaysia in 1964. Just as we are part of Nigeria today, we will pull out. Nigeria will go its own separate ways. We save our territory from monsters and criminals and invaders. Let's listen to Singapore rise to the top. How? Was it by praying or was it by hard work? We are all hardworking, but your hard work will not make any fruit inside the current Nigeria. It's like pumping water in the basket. You know what is going to be the end result. This is the truth. But my job is to remind you that you are pouring water in the basket in Nigeria and the water is dripping. And you cannot plug it because it's got so many holes. And as you're blocking one, they're punching another one. Because that is the system with the fraudulent constitution as amended. Let's listen.
How did a country that was on the verge of collapsing become Asia's #1 country? This is the success story of the tiny island of Singapore. From being a third world country to one of the most powerful Asian countries in just a few decades, Singapore's rise to the top is all because of one man's commitment. In today's video, we'll be covering how the country rose from the ashes and soon became a global force, all because of their commitment to their citizens and the relationship with its allies. Their history began as one of many British colonies spread out throughout the globe. In 1963, Singapore and Malaysia combined to form the Federation of Malaysia after breaking away from British rule. But Malaysia didn't want to accept Singapore, and soon, violence and street riots started spreading like wildfire. Eventually, the Malaysian parliament expelled Singapore. This is when father of the nation, Lee Kuan Yew, dreamt of creating a safe haven for all, where one's nationality takes precedence over their race, religion, or ethnicity. It wasn't easy. Singapore had to overcome its geographic disadvantages and establish itself as a leader in international trade by embracing globalization, free market capitalism, education, and practical policies. Ask anyone, and they'll tell you that MPH, or meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty is the key to Singapore's success. First, they chose the most qualified people to lead the country. Then, no matter what anyone's belief is, if it worked, they'd use it. That's pragmatism, the second pillar of Singapore's success. As a country, they were all quite practical, whether it was to adopt some capitalist and some communist ideologies, or even mix them to make something work in their favor. Particularly in a third world country, the hardest quality to develop is honesty. Corruption is largely to blame for the decline of third world states. So after Lee Kuan Yew was appointed prime minister, he made it a point to state that nobody was above the law. That is the one crucial component contributing to Singapore's outstanding success. Now, after the separation from Malaysia, a good chunk of the population was unemployed. Singapore needed to develop a strategy, and fast. The traders brought in business from abroad because it was difficult for them to conduct any business in Southeast Asia due to territorial disputes. That marked Singapore's new beginning. By the way, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any latest news. They had to develop an environment that was secure, free of corruption, and tax-friendly in order to entice investors. International investors found the nation's business-friendly policies to be particularly alluring. And by 1972, Japan and the United States had invested significantly in 1/4 of Singapore's manufacturing companies, which were either foreign-owned or joint ventures. The result? In 7 years, the country's GDP increased by double digits. Right now, it's at $473.79 billion US.
We're going to end the program this evening, and hopefully one day many of you would accept and believe that Yoruba Nation is the solution to the current state problem that we're encountering in Nigeria today. Don't try to want to fix a country that is dead. Nigeria is currently in coma, and we are making sure that whatever injection they are giving it to pop up, we are trying to neutralize it so that it doesn't pop up again. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, also known as Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. As I leave you tonight, remember that we have one common enemy: the Europeans, the West, that continue to tell you lies and suck all your natural resources using all kind of proxies known as the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria plus the FCT, telling Nigerians that we are the foreigners that will come and monitor your election, but they don't have any say to determine who you prefer to be there in power. They continue to tell you that there is a policy that they are working with your government that will eventually be fruitful. All that are lies that they've done in 1884, known as the Berlin Conference. And on that note, enjoy the rest of the evening. I'll see you when I see you again. OLAYOMI KOIKI, known as Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Bye for now.